changing in a horrible way. To cut a long story short, very briefly, till now we had the standard situation that you also have it up to, till now here. One big left-of-center party, one big right-of-center party. They are the only two parties which address the entire population, and then small fringe parties. Now, more and more in Europe, another polarity is emerging. A big liberal capitalist party, which can even be in social matters like abortion, women's rights, relatively progressive, pure, let's call it capitalist party, and the only serious opposition is the anti-immigrant nationalists. It's something horrible that is happening. The anti-immigrants are establishing themselves as the only authentic, of course they are not authentic politically, but in the sense of really experienced as authentic, voice of protest. If you want to protest, the only way to do it effectively in Europe is this. So I think it's a matter of life and death for a slightly more radical left to emerge. You know what Walter Benjamin, the great Frankfurt School fellow, traveler, he says something which we should always bear in mind today. He said, behind every fascism there is a failed revolution. It goes more than ever for us. Let's take your own country, Kansas, which is now the bedrock of Christian fundamentalism. As Thomas Frank demonstrated in his book, my God, till 20, 30 years ago, Kansas was the breeding ground of all radical socialist and so on mass movements. The same in Europe. This should worry us, not this arrogant, which always has a negative class connotation. When people attack common people's racism, it's always like we upper middle class liberals dismissing ordinary people. We should start asking ourselves what we did wrong.
And as you come here to the United States, your assessment of the Tea Party movement?
It's a perfect example of what I was talking about. I had almost, I use the terms a little bit ironically, but nonetheless, a kind of epiphany moment when a year ago or so, when they organized grassroots Republicans, all those, the first wave of Tea Parties, against spending so much money for banks. You know what I was doing? I was sitting in a hotel room, jumping between two channels on TV. One was Fox News. You must know the enemy to fight it. The other one was PBS. On Fox News, it was a live transmission of a Tea Party in Texas, where a singer, kind of a fake folk singer, was singing anti-Washington, anti-state expenditure song. On PBS, there was a documentary on the great leftist icon Pete Seeger. I was shocked at how the words, although the political meaning were almost the same. Both were singing about we small ordinary people are exploited, big bad guys, bankers in Washington and so on, Wall Street and so on. This is the tragedy. This is the tragedy at its purest. You must know better than me. I don't know where, as far as I can judge the situation. It was after Carter with Reagan when this grassroots movement and so on were more taken over by the right. Like, you know, the time of leftist radical mass mobilization has passed now. When somebody tells you, oh, Tea Party, oh, out of a local grassroots protest, your first association is, are right-wingers again doing it or what? This is a very sad moment, but no reasons, I hope I made it clear, for traditional European America bashing. And this is, I think, part of a global process of what I call the disappearance of the, what philosophers like Kant called the public use of reason. I listened with amazement and great pleasure to the report about how here in the States the universities which are financed by taxpayers' money are more and more used by companies. In Europe we are even worse. I'll tell you why. Because they stated clearly the program in Europe. It's not only this concrete problem, big companies controlling through money donations universities. It's something more fundamental going on. It's a well-organized all-European campaign to turn us, scientists, human or natural, into experts. The idea is we have a problem, let's say oil spill in Louisiana. Oh, we need experts to tell us how to contain it. We have a public disorder demonstrations. We need psychologists and so on. This is not thinking. What universities should do is not serve as experts to those in power who define the problems. We should redefine and question the problems themselves. Is this the right perception of the problem? Is this really the problem? We should ask much more fundamental questions. Here, it may surprise you, but I still have sympathy for Obama. But in my view, one of his greatest failures is not Afghanistan. There the situation is very complex. I don't know what I would have done. It's how he reacted to the oil spill. You know why? Because he played this legal moralistic game. As if like, I will kick, we know where BP, they will make... Sorry, but in a tragedy of these proportions, you cannot play this legalistic game, who is guilty and so on. You should start asking more general questions. BP is evil, but are we aware that it may have happened also to another company? So the problem is not BP. The problems are much more general. The structure of our economy, why are we living like this, our way of life, and so on and so on. I think that this is the problem today. I'm saying this ironically as a leftist. We have maybe even too much anti-capitalism, but in this overload of anti-capitalism, but always in this legal, moralistic sense. Oh, that company is using child slave labor. Oh, that company is polluting. Oh, that company is, that company, whatever, is exploiting our universities. No. The problem is more fundamental. It's about how the whole system works to make the companies do this. Don't moralize the problem. Because if you moralize it, you can say in the States whatever you want. Already in the movies like Pelican Brief, you remember. No problem. Big company, even the president of the United States can be corrupted. No, this excess of anti-capitalism is a false excess. We should start asking more fundamental questions.
Slavoj Zizek, your latest book, why did you call it Living in the End Times?
Of course, the point is to ironically refer or evoke this metaphor of doom, whatever, in 2012, we are approaching the end of times. And of course, my point is not, I'm not this kind of believer, oh, we have 2 years to live, then whatever will happen. But nonetheless, I think that at different levels, we are approaching slowly, no panic yet, a kind of a 0 point. In the sense of, let's look at ecology. It is clear that when people tell me, oh, but you are utopian, I tell them, no, the only true utopia is that things can go on like they do now indefinitely. And it's very strange how we behave. On the one hand, we don't really believe there will be a catastrophe. We are split. We know it, we admit it rationally, but then you go out, there is sun, the grass is green, can anything happen? At the same time, this is ideology of everyday life. To make our conscience clear, did you notice how we are blackmailed at this everyday level? Oh, you threw that newspaper away. No, you should...
10 seconds.
Yeah. So what I'm claiming is that we are approaching a certain 0 point. We have to act. If not, I don't want to live in a society which will be here in 20 years, let us say.
Slavoj Zizek, I want to thank you for being with us. Slovenian philosopher, author of many books. His latest is just coming out now from Verso Books. It's called Living in the End Times. That does it for our show. If you'd like a copy, you can go to our website at democracynow.org. Democracy Now! Is produced by Mike Berkshire. For the producer, Armata Anshikam, Steve Martinez, Nicole Salazar, Hani Masood, Ravi Karen. I'll be speaking at the Enoch Pratt Library in Baltimore on Friday night. Check our website. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks for joining us. This is Democracy Now! Democracy Now!